things before we get to the annual plan, and then that will allow others to hear what I have to say at the outset in terms of process. We've had some good advice from the auditor this morning about process, so I do want to make sure that we get the process right. So what's the next item after the annual plan? Number 6, Chief Executive's report. Arlene, do you want?
I'll take it as read. I just want to let those councillors know that I haven't spoken to that the City Council put in a team into the Sorghum Management Challenge. So it's a developmental challenge where people from across the organisation come together and do a whole range of things, 7 tasks, including debate and a process improvement project, a range of other issues. Out of 16 teams across New Zealand, Christchurch is now one of the 3 finalists. So the winner will be announced at the gala dinner on the 14th of April, and the winner goes to the Australasian Management Challenge. So it's a great thing for Christchurch to be recognised. It's about working together. It's about an experience of on your feet, really managing some challenging issues, and I think recognition of the work that staff put in terms of and the progress that was made over time. So we're absolutely delighted about this.
Well done. Good luck.
Are there any other questions for the Chief Executive? Yanni?
Yeah, thank you. Just on the operational results, page 27, you make reference to higher NZTA operational subsidies. I just wondered if we'd had any update on the subsidies related to the accessible transport stages 2 and 3 from NZTA.
We haven't had any specific response on that.
We applied for any?
I think we're still under discussions, but there has been no confirmation.
So we've got projects like Victoria Street, which are in the current financial year, and I was just wondering whether that increase was related to those projects in stage 2 that we'd committed to. But is it possible to get some information back around what the NZTA subsidies
We can do that,
are?
definitely.
Cool, thank you.
Good. Paul?
Just a couple of things. The snaps in Solve. I did quite a few when I was out on a walk with some areas that were of concern, and I had one of the contractors come back to me and ask me exactly where the problem was. So I said, well, there's a GPS coordinate that comes with the SnapSend Solve, but apparently that's not getting passed on to the contractor. So
it's not all contractors, so there are some areas where the technology is a bit older, and so we're working through that, but there are some contractors where it does go through to. So okay. It's about it's consistent systems across.
Okay. The second thing was just an emerging problem. I think we've raised it before, but it is going to become sort of quite critical coming up, and that's the Building Control Group do an end-to-end process which has been working exceptionally well. And a thought's come around maybe a start-to-finish type approach, which looks at not just getting the building and all the things that wrap around that service, but actually looking outside the building and going, what else needs to be done? Let's take public realm, for example, so making sure the public realm around some of these new builds, which have been quite heavily damaged by the earthquake, are actually sort of coordinated in with those projects. So a start-to-finish approach would actually assist, I think, in the long run. And we saw, down Hereford Street where Nick Hunt's building got finished, and the paving hadn't been sorted, so we ended up putting down bitumen just to stopgap the process, but if we'd been onto it, we would have actually got the paving down as it should. So I'm just thinking maybe we need to look at that going forward.
Yeah, I agree. So there is some work in terms of how do we align some of our work across, not just rebuilds, but the other areas of work that we're doing as well. There's also, I guess, the issue about prioritisation and how we fit that into the process. But certainly we want to be able to complete areas as much as possible, rather than sort of coming back and patching up. Yeah,
that's pretty part of the concern for some of these big developments where you've got $100 million development, and outside you have some of pavers that were, at the day when they finished the City Mall, for example, say they were nice, but now you've got pavers missing and they've got bitumen filled in the gaps, so it doesn't look that great.
No, and we're now structured in a way that we can do that more easily, so that we have that communication across what were previously quite, broad silos.
Awesome, thank you.
Jimmy.
Only one question on page 31. The project Hoswell Skate Recreation Park. Based on the consultation document, the Rector Wigwam Community Board will make decision on 19th of April. This is public, but right now here is the 17th of May. So whether before the public or community are aware or not.
Of a decision being made?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
But there's public.
Yes.
The consultation document was on the 19th of April.
Yes, so that information will be fed into the board decision on the 17th of May.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one really little question, and it's on page 26 in the first line, Caroline, and again on 27, where you talk about operating expenditure tracking below budget, and then you say capital expenditure remains at risk. Do you mean at risk of being underspent, or?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, so as we've been forecasting all the way along.
That's fine. Just, Andrew.
Thank you. On page 28, there's the right-hand side of the page that refers to the Littleton Library project. I'd just like to take the opportunity to record the community's thanks, in fact, to library staff who did a fantastic job in this space, working with community members and the community board in that working group. It's a really good example, in fact, an exemplar of the way that council and community can work together to deliver a really good outcome that otherwise wouldn't have occurred. So, in as much as it's in your report, I just wanted to take the opportunity to record the community's thanks to the staff for the work that they did in that space.
Right, and equally, certainly library staff have talked to me about the way that they value the input of the community, but also the volunteers who actually help shifts and things like that.
It was a really good collaborative process between staff, community board and community. The Littleton Time Bank played a role in the actual physical moving of the stock. Yeah, certainly it was a pleasure to be involved with, and I look forward to seeing more similar collaborations happen in future. Thank you.
Very smart move to use the Chief Executive's report for that. David.
Three quick points. One, just reinforcing Paul's comment about snap, send, solve, just the GPS. A number of people telling me that they can't find it. Secondly, just on our levels of service performance, tracking at 86%, it's an area of some concern in the eastern suburbs. Have we been realistic in our setting of targets, or are we trying to achieve more than we're capable of?
So we have a large number of levels of service, and the executive team are looking at how do we hone those down to the things that really matter in the next financial year. So there's quite a lot of work around that. I think some have been heroic targets. Others are we're required to comply with. So they're, if you like, essential core targets. For instance, it may be around non-contamination of water or E. coli, and if you need to be 100% is the target. If you have one outbreak, then you fail the target entirely. So there are a whole range of issues around the targets, which we're looking at. What are the things that we should be measuring? What are the things that we are required to comply with and are imposed on us? And what are the things that we would want to know to make good decisions?
Yeah, and I think perhaps we could add another factor into the equation. We seem to have, in some instances, a one-fits-all model of level of service.
That's right.
That doesn't take into account differing conditions, environmental bits and pieces, and we're trying to adapt one model across the whole city, and I think we need to be looking more site-specific in some areas, and that's an issue that people in the east are raising with me at the moment. And lastly, just on the health and safety, page 35, great schedule there, and I wonder, I'd just like to see a little bit more elaboration. Maybe it's something that could come to regulations and consents or another committee, but we have, quite a number of near misses, first aids, and we've had a couple of notified problems. And I'm just keen to see whether there are any particular sections of council that are at risk more so than others, and any trends that may be evolving across the broad spectrum of activities that we engage in. Yes. So maybe we either expand this a little bit, or there's a more expansive report comes to one of the committees, and I'm happy to receive it.
Yeah. This is an evolving area in terms of reporting for us, so we're trying to get the foundations right, and as you know, we had an audit that actually looked at our readiness for the new legislation, so we're doing a whole lot of work in place to make sure that everything's in place, but that other areas such as the executive team look at the detail every month. We've got established committees throughout the organisation, and we actually want to see things like near misses reported more. So as one of our plan on a page objectives, a key one is looking after ourselves and looking after each other, and the expectation is that things like that will call out risks and issues and incidents so that we can start to address those. And of course, under the new legislation, we're also interested in looking at our contractors and anybody that comes on any of our sites, to making sure that we reduce any risks there as well. So you'll see increased reporting. We need to report to the whole of council in some way. So whether there's a part of a report in my report and then to one of the committees in more detail. That's a discussion I think we need to have.
Great.
Great. Would someone like to move that the report be received? Jimmy Chen, seconded Andrew Turner. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those say no. That's carried. It's good timing now to come